Looking for a COVID-19 stylish mask? We've got you covered. That's thejewelledexperience.com. It's jewelry you'll love.
Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jazzy, and if you're a returning viewer, thanks for tuning in for today's video. In this video, I want to create an eye look for you guys featuring this Urban Decay Ultraviolet palette. If you guys want to see what look I create, make sure you guys stay tuned. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there. It would really warm my heart to have one more subscriber, and while you're at it, go ahead and hit that notification bell so every time I upload a video, you won't miss out on any of my content. Alright, without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right into this video. Urban Decay recently launched this palette which retails for $49. You can pick it up at Sephora or Ulta. The packaging is so nice. If you guys can hear, it's almost like a really hard plastic. It's not glass, but it is so pretty and it is super duper high quality. So if you were to drop this palette, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't break and your shadows would be protected. But of course, I wouldn't recommend dropping the palette to test it out and see. And once you open the palette, it does have a nice full-size mirror. It is definitely high quality and it does include 12 shades. Now the shades do have some purple variations to them. Now I'm not too sure what kind of look I'm going for today, but I know for a fact I want to wear something more versatile, keep it very neutral and wearable. I'm not really going for a bold, colorful look today, so I'm going to try to see what type of wearable eye look I can get from this palette for you guys. And honestly, I'm looking at these shades and they look so pretty, but it honestly looks like I'm just gonna go ahead and focus on the front of the palette. These front shades, this is more of my stilo. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and start off with mid slip-in, and I'm just gonna go ahead and place that directly in my crease and see what type of payout I get. Now I did want to mention to you guys, I have already went and prepped my eyelids with some concealer and I set it with some translucent powder, so I'm ready to go. Now I'm just going to go ahead and circular motions and blend the shade out because we went ahead and packed the color up, build it up just a little bit. I'm actually not trying to go for an in-depth shade because this is a transitioning color. So I'm just going to use this as a base to lay down. So any other shade I apply on top of this blends very easily. Going in with my Sigma Blending E25 brush, I'm just going to go ahead and take this shade Hacked right here and place that right on top of the shade Mind Slip that we just applied to our crease. This is more of a cool tone brown shade, so I'm interested to see what this pigment looks like on my skin tone, if it will show up or if it's gonna look chalky. And definitely, you guys, in the pan it looks more brown, but once you apply it, it definitely has some type of purple lavender undertone. I'm not sure if it's picking up on camera, but it's definitely not brown. It's more like a mauve shade. I'm just gonna pack this on my outer V and blend it towards the inner crease with my Sigma E35 brush, the one that we just used. I'm just gonna go ahead and blend that forward now from the outer V to the inner corner. In the pan, it definitely does look like a cool tone brown, but once you apply it on the lid and on the skin, it definitely looks more of a like mauve shade. So I'm just blending it in, moving it towards the inner tear duct of the eye. This is definitely not the shade that I was going for, but it turned out to be okay. But I'm not looking to build more of this mauve shade, so it's pretty, but it's definitely not brown, which is what it looked like in the pan. So Hacked is definitely deceiving. So as you guys can see, it does look like I have something on my lids, but it's not jumping out at me the way that it did in the palette. It definitely looks more like a cool tone brown shade. In the palette, this is the shade Hacked right here, but on the lid, it definitely does give me more mauve vibes, but it's okay, it's pretty. We're just gonna go ahead and move forward. I'm actually curious to see what this digital shade, this is the darkest shade in the palette, looks like, because I was looking for more of a cool brown tone. I'm looking to do more of like a soft, smoky eye with maybe use like one of these shimmer shades because these are really pretty. Maybe one of like Days or VR is pretty much something that I'm looking to do, but I'm interested to see what digital looks like and how it picks up and transfer on the lid. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try that out for you guys because I'm really curious to see what it looks like. So I'm going to take my Sigma Pencil E30 brush. I want full control because again, I'm not too sure how these pigments are gonna play off, you guys, because they look very deceiving in the palette. So I'm just going to take something small so I have more control over it, and I'm just gonna go ahead and pick up this shade Digital. Now it does look like it has some type of iridescent color underneath it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pack this shade on right at the outer part of the V. But then also bring it down to your lash line just a little bit. Taking a small blending brush, I'm going in with my Sigma Blending E36 brush because again, I want optimal control over where this is going. I actually do like the color Payoff, but you guys, it's definitely not the way it looked in the palette. I think so far, this palette is a little deceiving. So as you guys can see, using a smaller brush gave me a lot of control. So it doesn't look like the color is just everywhere. It really allowed me to focus it where I wanted it to go, which was the outer V as well as on this lash line. Alright you guys, so I went ahead and I applied Digital to the outer V and onto the waterline of my lashes. Now I'm just going to go ahead and pop one of these shimmer shades directly on the middle of my lid and call it a day with this palette so I can go ahead and give you guys my final thoughts and review on this palette. So I'm not too sure if I want to use Dazed or VR. I'm actually going to go ahead and swatch both of them for you guys really quick so I can see which one I'm going to do. Now Dazed look like it's more of a rose gold undertone, but on camera it's picking up more of like a champagne color. So I'm not too sure if this is the shade that I want to use, just for the simple fact that I'm going for more of like a smoky eye look. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and swatch the shade VR, and oh my goodness you guys, I think this is the one. This is so pretty. It looks more like a pinkish, bluish, purple underflex tone. It is so pretty. I think this is the one that I'm gonna go with. But first I'm gonna apply with my finger and then I'm going to see what it looks like with a brush. That's what it looks like. To me, it's a little lackluster. I feel like the pigment is not all there. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it on this one. And I think what I'm gonna do is then apply it with some setting spray with a brush because I'm not really getting the result I want. But I am gonna try for you guys. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and take my Scandinavia and I'm actually going to take a clean brush, which I think I'm going to use my Sigma Concealer F70 brush. And I'm just gonna go ahead and spray it. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick up that VR shade. It's a really pretty shade, but I just want it to be more pigmented. I just want it to pop a little bit more. I wish these colors were true to the pan, what they look like, but honestly, you guys, that's not been the case with any of these shades. So with a brush and the setting spray, it's giving me the same results, you guys. It's very soft. From this whole video, none of the shades have been translating to what they look like from the palette onto my eye look. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just go for it. I know I wasn't going for an outlandish look today, but these shades are not transferring the way that they look in the palette. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and take Cyberpunk and put that in the inner tier of my eye. Again, it's cute, but it's not as pigmented as it looks in the palette. So it's pretty, but it's definitely not giving me what I've seen in the palette. So first I want to share that this palette does have fallout, so if you're someone who's not really fond of pigment fallout, this is not the palette for you, but it doesn't have a lot of fallout. Now I did want to share with you guys, before I went ahead and I applied any of the shades, any of the shadows, I did use a little bit of translucent powder underneath my eyes to kind of like catch it, but I didn't apply a lot of translucent powder. So make sure you have a nice even coverage, because once I went to apply my lashes, that's when I was able to see like, girl, I have fallout. I had glitter fallout, and if you guys know anything about glitter, it's like very hard to remove once it's there. So of course I did try to dust it away, but it was just there. So that's one thing I did want to share with you guys about fallout, but me personally, I don't mind pigment fallout. Now I did want to share with you guys also something about this palette. Now the colors do look very vibrant in this palette. As you guys can see, it's a super pretty purple palette, but I did want to mention to you guys, if you're like a beginner or a novice makeup artist, or if you're just someone who likes to create some looks on your free time, this is definitely the palette for you. It's not something to be intimidated by. I know the colors are super vibrant in the pan, but they definitely don't correlate to that once you apply them on the eye. They definitely settle down once you blend them out, and they're very pretty. But if you're someone who's looking for like a super intense pigmented palette, I'm not sure this is the one for you. This is a very subtle palette. You can definitely wear the shades on an everyday basis, or if you really wanted them to jump out, I suggest, if you're like my skin complexion or a little bit darker, if you really want the colors to be true to the payout, I would suggest using like a white primer base. As I mentioned to you guys, I personally use my concealer as a base, and I went ahead and set it with translucent powder, which is what I typically do. But for something like this palette in particular, I definitely recommend, if you're someone who's looking for more of that color payoff, you're definitely going to need a like stark white base to really get the payoff that you're looking for. But if you're someone like me who's looking for a more natural, subtle type of look, you're not someone who's looking for those vibrant colors all the time, you're just something more soft, low-key like myself, this is a really good palette. I can definitely see me grabbing this palette and wearing it every day. So make sure you guys stay tuned on my channel, because I will be creating more looks with this palette. So thank you Urban Decay so much for sending me this to share with my audience. I really do like it. I feel like it's a little misleading, but it's definitely something that I enjoy having, and I will continue to use this in my collection.
Looking for a COVID-19 stylish mask? We've got you covered. That's thejeweledexperience.com. It's jewelry you'll love.